Hello, and welcome to another episode of Market House, the podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name is Caleb, and in this week's episode, we're covering the latest Disney news, as well as a short recap of the D23 Expo. Let's dive in. All right, this is episode number 49, and unfortunately, as you probably already noticed, Caitlin is not joining me this week. We just got back from our Disney cruise to Alaska, which was amazing, and we can't wait to share more about that in a future episode, but unfortunately, Caitlin came back, and a couple days later, wasn't feeling too hot. So she's got some kind of bug and is recovering right now, and she just wasn't feeling up to recording. So I'm doing it solo this week, so I apologize in advance for, not the same kind of feel, I guess, but you'll have to put up with me for the next little bit as we cover kind of the news that we missed while we were gone for a week, and also all the happenings at D23. So I will be covering kind of like a short summary of what happened. I'm sure you've already read about it, but you can kind of hear our thoughts on what they announced, but we'll only be covering, and I can talk about this later, but we're only covering kind of the U.S. parks, those announcements, as well as like some Disney cruise stuff. So as much as we love and want to go visit the international stuff, that is less applicable to us over here in the U.S. because I guess not a ton of folks can go usually out to Tokyo and Paris and stuff. So we've whittled it down to the most important announcements so we can go over that with you. Again, look for a podcast episode coming up on our fun experience to Alaska. It was truly kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was a blast and an escape from this California heat. It was a really good time. It was like the high of 58 most of the time, whereas there was a heat bubble going on at home, 115 degrees or something crazy like that. So we went at the right time, and we had a really good time. So we can't wait to share more about that later, but let's go ahead and dive into that news. All right, first up, we've got some Star Wars news, and it looks like Rogue Squadron was removed from Disney's film calendar. So if you didn't know already, Rogue Squadron was an upcoming film, Star Wars film, that was going to be directed by Patty Jenkins, and you already know her work, I'm sure, if you don't already know her name, and she directed the Wonder Woman film. So she's a very talented director, and I was looking forward to seeing this movie, but it's been canceled, it looks like. So there were reports like a few months ago that she couldn't stick to the original filming schedule due to some prior commitments. They're filming Wonder Woman 3 soon, and also she's doing a Cleopatra film, I guess. And so they were going to have to work around that schedule, but it looks like they just straight up canceled it, which doesn't surprise me too much, only because Bob Iger, about a year or two ago, warned about the Star Wars exhaustion happening with their film. So after the flop that was Solo, the movie, which I actually enjoyed, but didn't do very well in theaters, he just said, you know what, we've oversaturated the film schedule with Star Wars films, and we're just going to go ahead and cut back. So I wonder if that was they just saw this as an excuse and a reason, you know what, let's just cut it and focus on the upcoming 6 other Star Wars films they're working on. So it doesn't surprise me too much, but if you were looking forward to it, sorry, they have canceled Rogue Squadron. All right, next up, we're sticking with films, and it looks like they just recently announced some more coming out in the next couple of years, and I think some of these were announced at D23, if I'm not mistaken. So these are the most exciting, I think, projects that are coming out, and let's go ahead and go through the list. We've got Haunted Mansion. That shifted from March 10th, 2023 to August 11th, 2023. So looks like they've shifted it by quite a bit, a few months there. Not entirely sure why, but they're pushing the release date. We've got, I think it's Elio, a new Pixar movie scheduled to come out on March 1st, 2024. You've got Snow White live-action remake, March 22nd, 2024. This is starring Rachel Zegler, I don't know. I'm really bad with names, and Gal Gadot. And Rachel Ziegler, she was in West Side Story, if you don't know who she is. And of course, everyone knows who Gal Gadot is, Miss Wonder Woman herself. Inside Out 2 on June 14th, 2024. Not going to lie, this one I'm a little nervous about because the first one is a masterpiece, and most of the time sequels don't live up to the original films, so we'll see what they do with this one. And then finally, Mufasa, The Lion King on July 5th, 2024. Another movie I'm a little nervous about because Lion King, you shouldn't touch it, and that was proven with the live action that came out. I don't think anyone liked that movie, and you just can't touch that classic film. Fun fact, that is my favorite soundtrack for a Disney film. It's perfect all around. Hans Zimmer is a genius, and it's the best, and I don't care what you have to say. I'm just kidding. Everyone has their favorites, but Lion King is mine. So again, look out for those films coming out in 24 and in 23. Looks like we've got a lot to look forward to. Next story, we're shooting over to Disney World, and specifically Epcot. An unfortunate situation happened. Could have been a lot worse, but a funnel cloud developed over Epcot on Thursday, September 15th. So, yeah, looks very scary. If you go on Twitter, Instagram, anything, and you just look up Epcot, I'm sure it will pop up for you. But specifically, a funnel cloud, not a tornado. Apparently, winds have to reach a certain speed for it to be classified as a tornado, but a funnel cloud, one that looked like a tornado, developed over Epcot, and it was terrifying looking. So Orlando, with your weather, it's so bizarre. You've got rain one minute, you've got tornadoes forming, you've got what have you. It's crazy out there. So no damage was reported. I don't even think it touched the ground. It just looked very ominous and scary off in the distance. Do yourself a favor and look it up so you can go, I'm glad that didn't happen to me. All right, and our final news story has to do with Mr. Bob Chapek himself, the Disney CEO, and he sat down with Hollywood Reporter and was asked some pretty tough questions. One of them being, hey, Mr. Chapek, you're known as a guy, I'm paraphrasing here, but you're known as a guy who cuts costs and raises prices, and it seems like you've made a lot of fans kind of angry with you. What's your response to that? So kind of a hard question to be asked. I'm sure he was prepped before by his people, but his response basically, and again, I'm paraphrasing, this is not a quote, but he basically says, hey, the annual pass system at Disneyland and such was way too much of a value. It was way too good of a deal. People used it as their personal playground for way too little of a price. And he said, that's great. I think there's a place for those super fans that want to come every day, but it was too much of a value. So we're going to raise prices, and until demand decreases, we'll continue to raise prices, which makes sense. Again, at the end of the day, Disney's a for-profit business, and so they're looking to make money and return money to shareholders. So I get that at some level. Then he made he used a weird example to justify some of these changes, saying, hey, I love these super fans, but I also have to look out for the random Denver family that only gets to come to Disney every 5 years. And when they're turned away at the door because the super fans are filling it up, that's a problem. And I want them to have the same kind of experience as the super fans. This is where I think he's alluding to the reservation system and why that's in place. I don't fully understand his logic though, because yes, I would argue you get a less than stellar experience when the park is wall-to-wall people. I get that. So that would be more of an argument for capacity limits, right? Decreasing those. But what I don't get is that he's making it seem like they're getting turned down at the door every 5 minutes. You can correct me if I'm wrong, write in or something on Instagram, but I think the parks were only ever at capacity for like Christmas, New Year's, and like 4th of July. It rarely happens. So maybe, 5 days out of the year it hits capacity and people are turned away. So I'm a little confused as to why that was used as an example. Again, if you just stuck with, we want them to have a great experience and not have it wall to wall with people, okay, I get that a little bit. But the whole thing of like, they're getting turned away every single time, that doesn't make sense to me. So at the end of the day, he did have a pretty decent answer. I get all of it. Is it frustrating for us super fans that go all the time? Of course it is, right? Having more limitations and spending more money is frustrating, but it is true that we were starting at a fantastic deal, and it can only get worse from here. So Mr. Chapek had some interesting things to say. If you want to read the whole interview, go ahead and go over to the Hollywood Reporter and read up on what exactly he said. Before we dive into our main segment, we have another 5-star review. Thank you so much, Krista MM1313 Christum 13. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce the username. I apologize if I'm butchering it, but thank you so much. She says, the title says, my favorite Disneyland-centric podcast. I love your podcast. I have a few WDW, that's Walt Disney World, folks, if you don't know the acronym, centric podcasts that I enjoy, but you two are hands down my favorite Disneyland-centric podcast. Great commentary, realistic, charming, and fun. I'm working on planning my birthday trip with my family, and am enjoying your takes on the latest at Disneyland as I do so. Thanks for the joyful addition to my podcast rotation. Thank you so much for those kind words. That means the world to us. Again, it's a lot of work putting this together, not complaining. It's just the reality of it. So when we get those kinds of reviews and just feedback on the show, it makes us feel so much better, or just makes us feel very good. So again, we appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much for leaving that. Caitlin was ecstatic to share that with me when you left it. So thanks so much. If you haven't already, please review, rate, whatever the word is, over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'd appreciate it very much. All right, now it's time for that D23 recap. Again, I'll try and keep it as short as possible since there are so many announcements. And like I mentioned before, we're cutting out all the movie stuff that could take an hour alone, talking about all the Marvel, Star Wars projects they've got going on, what have you, Indiana Jones 5, right? That looks awesome. But we only have so much time to fit all this in. So again, we're focusing on U.S. parks and also just a short little Disney cruise announcement there at the end. Okay, so let's start with Disney's California Adventure. We've got a Hulk meet and greet coming to Avengers Campus, and I think it's going to be available the week you're hearing this. So you'll be able to see the Hulk in his like white onesie costume. I don't know. I remember I remember the scene it was in. I don't remember exactly what movie it was. Again, we're casual Marvel fans over here, but it looks pretty cool. The suit is impressive. It's gigantic. The movement's a little awkward. The legs look good. The arms have very little movement and kind of swing side to side. So again, I'm not going to complain too much. It is an impressive piece of machinery, essentially. But it's gonna be interesting with this meet and greet. I'm looking forward to people who get pictures with the Hulk. Next up, you've got King Thanos Battle Experience. This is a upcoming ride, I guess, coming to Avengers Campus. And I think this is replacing the Quinjet ride that was supposed to be developed. So if you don't remember this, that giant building that the Quinjet is sitting on, I think was supposed to be some kind of motion simulator ride. That still could be the space that they put this ride in. It looks like a motion simulator as well, but it takes place in a world where Thanos won. So I don't know. It's probably giving me Smuggler's Run vibes, Star Tours. It's disappointing because I can't ride these rides very well. Caitlin can't either because we get motion sick. So a little disappointed. And as well, it feels like a cheaper ride, right? Experience versus one with animatronics and all that good stuff. So not super hyped about this ride, but curious to see what they do with it. And finally, Pacific Wharf will be replaced with San Francisco from Big Hero 6. So yeah, it fits. I get it. There's already a bridge that they're going to make into it looks like the Golden Gate Bridge, but it's slightly different. And yeah, it's going to be the world of Big Hero 6. I love this movie and have always looked forward to some kind of Baymax experience in the park. They said there will be a Baymax meet and greet in this area, as well as dining and shopping options. So right now there's pretty much only dining, so I'm curious to see what kind of shop they slap in there and what restaurants they keep and get rid of, but I'm assuming all of it gets rethemed and gets named, new names for everything, but looking forward to this edition in DCA. All right, let's move over to Disneyland now, and it looks like Tiana's Bayou Adventure got some updated concept art. They replaced Mama Odie's tree with a water tower, so I'm not entirely sure Why? Mama Odie's tree, I would argue, looked a heck of a lot better. So I don't know if budget cuts are hitting the project. And again, the original concept art with the tree was very early on, and Disney is known for changing what things look like when it gets closer to the development phase. So I don't know if it's budget or just vision change, but looks like we're getting a water tower added to that experience. Next up, we've got Tiana's Palace coming to New Orleans Square. It's a restaurant that's going to be serving up Tiana's food, which is really cool. We just got off the Disney Wonder where they had Tiana's Place, a similar dining experience, and that was amazing. So looking forward to seeing what Disney does with this new restaurant in New Orleans Square. Next up, they announced a Tiana-themed shop coming to the park called Eudora's Chic Boutique, featuring Tiana's Gourmet Secrets. That is a mouthful. Eudora's Chic Boutique, featuring Tiana's Gourmet Secrets. Good grief. Good luck getting all that on one sign. But that's going to be fun. Again, it looks like they're just throwing Tiana everywhere. It makes sense for her to have a ride and some themed shops, dining experience, what have you. And finally, they have a Toontown update. So there's going to be an interactive queue for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And again, another tongue twister. You know what I'm saying. But looks like there's going to be some interactive elements for kids to play with while you're waiting in line, because it's probably going to be long. So if you're waiting 60 minutes, might as well have some interactivity to keep you entertained. And I like this. I really do, because they're taking after Walt Disney World in all of their interactive lines. So I'm excited for Disneyland to get some of that, and the kids can have some fun, and even the adults, I'm not judging, in line. All right, let's move over to the hotels. And again, you already know that Paradise Pier was getting a retheme, but now we have an official name. It's called Pixar Place Hotel. The sign, the font they used, the design looks amazing. So really looking forward to see what they do with this. They showed off some more concept art of the hotel, including some concept art for the Finding Nemo splash pad. So again, this is getting a total Pixar overhaul. And they just started taking off the waves, at the top of the building, those iconic wave sign things. They're taking those down with the crane for the last few days. So they're making progress. I wonder when it's going to be completely done. I'm assuming sometime next year, but maybe we'll schedule a stay for this new Pixar Place Hotel. It looks like Disneyland and DCA are both getting new nighttime spectaculars for Disney's 100th anniversary. No, this is not a park-specific anniversary. This is the Disney Company is turning 100 years old soon, and they are doing some more shows for us. So we've got World of Color 1. Don't know what the 1 means, but World of Color 1 is coming to DCA, as well as Wondrous Journeys, a new Disneyland fireworks show. So looking forward to seeing what they do with this. I'm really excited for a new World of Color show. I love my original one, but to see them do something new will be fun to see. And of course, they always kill it with the fireworks shows, so looking forward to that as well. Next up in downtown Disney, some new retail locations and restaurants coming to the area, including Din Tai Fung and Porto's, which apparently are local favorites to the LA area. Never heard of Din Tai Fung, but I've heard of Porto's. It's a weird word. And I've heard really good things. It's like a bakery cafe deal, probably like Boudin, I guess, if you have that around you. And our final Disneyland announcement is exciting for those runners out there. Run Disney is coming back to the West Coast. So Disney took this away when they were in a little fight with the city of Anaheim over some things they were holding back. And so Disney said, watch me do this. I'm taking away a ton of revenue for the city. So all that, tourist tax you get from hotel people and, people spending money at restaurants and all, what have you, we're going to go ahead and cancel it. So they did that. That's the rumor, I guess, that they took that away in their little fight with Anaheim. And holy smokes, folks, this is big news. Sorry to interrupt myself. It's raining in California. Hallelujah, we're getting some rain. Sorry, let's go back to the Run Disney thing. But yeah, if you're excited for that, I am. Caitlin has always wanted to do a Run Disney event, and we might have the chance to do that now. So look forward to running down at Disneyland again. Now we're heading over to Disney World and talking about all the upcoming things there. We've got a new land being added to Magic Kingdom. The project is called Beyond Big Thunder Mountain. They're teasing Coco and Conte and villains as possible themes for this land, and it's in the very, very early stages of development, Josh D'Amaro warned. And so things can change. So they're using those 3 properties to just kind of tease this area, what this can look like. And looking forward to an addition over there. Magic Kingdom is always in need of growing, right? They have the land. Why not do it? Dino Land is getting a replacement. Moana and Zootopia could be replacing this area in Animal Kingdom. Again, they warned this is so early stages that, don't quote us on this theming. So things can change, but the big news is that Dino Land is getting a replacement. This is long overdue. As a West Coast person visiting Disney World very infrequently, I'm not as in love with that area as you locals are. I think it's more nostalgic for you, I would argue, right? When you're a kid, you were able to ride those rides, but that area does not match anything else in the park. It's very, what do you call it? Like carnival-y to me, like a state fair, it felt like. So not a very impressive area of the park. So looking forward to that retheming. Another big announcement, Hatbox Ghost is coming to the Magic Kingdom. So that's coming 2023. You guys can share in the love of this amazing character that we have here in Disneyland. Now, I don't care. Some Disneyland people were like, they don't deserve it. They shouldn't get it. Who cares? Share the love, guys. Next up, we've got a new nighttime spectacular coming for Epcot. And it's replacing Harmonious, which I know a lot of you will be excited about. Now, are they using the barges that are there? Probably, because they paid a lot of money for those. But it's going to get a new show. So this is, again, for the 100th anniversary of Disney, and not many details available yet, just that a new show is coming. So they were probably like, please stop complaining about Harmonious. We'll give you something new. The Dreamer statue, Walt the Dreamer statue, is being added to Epcot soon. Very, very cool statue. There's a picture of Bob Gurr sitting next to this new statue and just taking a look at it. Very, very cool. So looking forward to that statue being added to Epcot. Figment meet and greet. So Figment's going to come and meet and greet with people. Again, don't understand the love for this character. I don't hate him. I just don't get it. Again, it must be a just East Coast thing. But people were very excited at the upcoming Figment meet and greet. Tron gets an opening date. So Tron will finally open in spring 2023 in Magic Kingdom. Again, I think they're just delaying this because they want something to come out in 23 to give you a reason to visit the park. They're already doing testing. It looks like it's done. Again, I'm not a roller coaster expert, so there could be a lot of work to be done, but it looks like it's pretty much finished, but they're just kind of stringing us along. So they're like, hey, come back in 23 to enjoy Tron. And they also announced Moana Journey of Water will open in late 2023. So that's another section of Epcot that is getting an overhaul, and it's going to be a Moana-themed thing. Not entirely sure what it all entails. Again, they announced the original kind of concept for it a long time ago, and so they're just giving us an update, which is it's coming out in late 23. So if you want to do a Disney World trip, I would argue maybe try and do like a Thanksgiving/Christmas time 23 trip, which Caitlin and I are looking into, because you'll be able to enjoy Tron past the initial opening craze and also see this cool new Moana Journey of Water area. I don't know. Looks pretty fun. All right, finally, Disney Cruise Line. I only have to mention this. We usually don't talk a lot of Disney Cruise here, but I have to do it because we just got off one. Disney Treasure is the new ship name that's going to be coming in 2024, and it's going to be themed after Agrabah. Aladdin and Jasmine are in the atrium. Now, there's a big disconnect in my mind. Disney Treasure screams like Peter Pan, right? Captain Hook. Do Treasure Planet or something. That makes more sense than Aladdin? Is there treasure in Aladdin? I guess there is. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. It looks cool. It's a new ship. Again, the Disney Wish, which is the newest addition to the Disney fleet of ships, is getting a lot of hate right now. A lot of fans that are just kind of concerned with ship design. I'm not going to dive into it now, but maybe they're listening. Maybe they're going to change some of that stuff for the Disney Treasure. But if you're looking to do a big Disney cruise trip, look into it before you book which ship you're going on. But that's pretty much it. That was D23 in a nutshell when it comes to parks and Disney Cruise Line. Again, there was a ton of announcements. So many. We came back from this trip because we didn't have cell service when we were on the ship, and then we'd get it in ports, but we kept our phones away because we were on vacation, and I didn't want to get distracted with work and all that good stuff. So coming back to a D23 event that has already happened was overwhelming, to say the least. There was so many announcements, and parsing through this all was pretty tough. So I felt very disconnected, but I feel like I'm caught up now. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us over on Instagram at Market House Podcast and Twitter at Market House Pod. Make sure to follow us there for all of the fun announcements and happenings that are going on. We've got an upcoming Disney trip. We've got a ton of stuff coming up. So look forward to sharing that with you guys. And if you haven't already, consider leaving a review on Apple Podcast and or Spotify. We would appreciate that so much. And thanks again to the people that have already left one. Join us next week for another episode, hopefully with Caitlin. And it would be so much better when she's here. But thanks so much for listening and putting up with us. Have a good week. Bye.